tickets priced $39.50, now available at hotel reception and ticketmaster.ie, where booking fees may apply. The Three Amigos Live. It's not to be missed.
It's the Right Price Tiles wood flooring and bathware half-price sale. Get up to 50% off all tiles, wood flooring, bathware, cladding. Everything's reduced. Tiles from only $4.99 per square yard and wood flooring from only $9.99 per square yard. Right Price Tiles, wood flooring and bathware half-price sale now on.
The Irish press is buzzing about the all-new, all-electric Hyundai Inster. The Irish Times says Hyundai has pulled off a bit of a masterstroke. CompleteCar.ie writes about its eye-catching exterior design and a well-equipped interior. While RTE says other manufacturers should take note. The all-new Inster, starting from €18,995.
Your local dealer is Divers Hyundai, Canal Road, Letterkenny. Call 91 22 600.
Time is 11:45 and it's a Saturday morning rewind. Collie McFadgen joins me live in studio. We're going to talk all things movies. It's good to have you back.
Thanks, Rory. It's been a while. Last time I was in here in crutches, so it's great to be back. And can I just say as well, it's even better to be back on a day that somebody from Annagre wins the earphones. And a quick mention for Carrickfinn, my favourite beach in the whole world.
There you go. Flying the flag.
I knew it was going to be a good day when I heard that on the way up. Yeah.
So, lots to talk about. It's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while, and there's a few interesting movies been out since. And I know we were just saying off air, you asking me about Better Man, which I think, you know, in November when we were talking, we kind of said, oh, that'll be interesting. I think that'll do well. And it's done okay here in Ireland and the UK, but it's absolutely tanked in the States, which is probably no surprise.
I was going to say, are we surprised? I mean, you know, since Robbie Williams went solo, you know, the goal has been to crack the US, and he's never managed. How long has he been on the road now as a solo artist? 25 years?
Yeah, 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And like Oasis couldn't do it, he couldn't do it, because there's something maybe essentially sort of European, almost British about him. And because he is an old school entertainer. And what's curious about this movie is, I thought it opened on Stevens's Day, and I thought, oh, this is going to do really well on Stevens's Day. And it didn't do that well. And I think it's the concept. So for anyone who doesn't know, Robbie is played by a CGI chimp. And first of all, you go, why would you do that? And then you go, if you think of Chicky Monkey, you think of Robbie Williams, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of works. And I
think as well, from looking at some of the interviews that were, in the run up to the release, the director was asked the question, why a monkey? And one of the first things in their initial meetings, Robbie Williams had said, well, when he was during the Take That days and things like that, he was made feel like a performing chimp.
A performing chimp. And that gets across the idea. And it takes you about 5 seconds of watching the movie to go, oh yeah, I get it.
And to see past it.
And
it's like subtitles probably. Yeah. You get past it after the first couple of minutes.
Exactly. And it reminded me a lot of two big biopics from a few years ago. So I was a much bigger Queen fan than an Elton John fan, and that would still be the same today. But I preferred the Rocket Man movie because I didn't want to see, I know you're shaking your head.
No.
I didn't want to just see the plain old boring story. I've seen beginning, middle, end story of somebody's life so many times, and I knew most of Freddie Mercury's life, and I knew but Elton John, but I like the musical sequences, and here that really works for me in the Better Man. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about it is I don't know anyone who hasn't liked this movie when they went to see it. So many people, and it's mostly been boys dragged in by women going to see Better Man, right? And going, oh, for God's, and he's a monkey? What a waste of time. And walking out going, yeah, actually, that was really good. That was really interesting. Yeah. It really works. He is an entertainer. And here's the thing, it doesn't tamp down the life, like the drug problems and all that sort of stuff. And seeing, a monkey in trouble with substances, etc., just is stunning. It's stunning watch. And
in full disclosure, this is not a family movie.
No,
this
it's
is
not
totally
very much a 15s,
warts
and all. People don't come out of it well. Like he's now great friends with Gary Barlow and all that sort of stuff. But it shows how they felt at the time. And he was 15 when he joined Take That. Like no wonder he went off the rails. And it is warts and all. And it's really interesting. And it's much better than it sounds. It's one of those movies.
Was it a timing thing? I mean, for I suppose the subject matter of the film and things like that, was it a bad time to release this, given, the Christmas releases should be more sort of family oriented?
Yeah, I think so. And it's still like things like Wicked and Gladiator are still doing strong, and that kind of pushed them off a bit. And We Live in Time, which also did well, kind of same audience.
Yeah.
And maybe a couple of weeks later would have been more interesting. Of course, they had to avoid the other big biopic that I want to talk about this week. Now, I don't want you to get into trouble with your listeners. How do you feel about Bob Dylan? I'll tell you in front of, I was fairly agnostic about Bob Dylan. I'm a big music fan, but I never loved Bob Dylan. Now, as a big music fan, you have to acknowledge, what a brilliant songwriter he was, but I never really got Bob Dylan. How about you?
Oh yeah, no, again, not a major fan. Like his music, appreciate the music. Do you know what I mean? But if I was sitting at a trivia quiz, a Bob Dylan trivia night, I'd be bottom of the league.
Yeah,
that sort of a way.
Well, so would I. And here's the thing: when I was going in to watch the movie, so it's called A Complete Unknown. This is how agnostic I am. I was going, why is it called A Complete Unknown? And then they're playing the song Rolling Stone, like a complete unknown. I'm like, oh,
there you go.
What a clown I am. So I went in and said, look, it's Timothée Chalamet playing Bob Dylan. Oh, I'm not really interested in this, but I'll sit down and watch it. It's 2 hours. I want to talk to Rory about it. Absolutely blown away, Rory. Absolutely blown away. I thought this is one of the best music biopics I've seen. Best since Elvis, even though it's a very different movie since Elvis. And one of the things about Bob Dylan is nobody really knows Bob Dylan. Some people might know Robert Zimmerman. And Bob Dylan is kind of a construct that he put... I think if you want to know him, it's through his music, not through any interviews. He makes up different stories every time, and he doesn't always come across as likeable. And Timothée Chalamet plays this, but the movie's not really about why Bob Dylan is Bob Dylan. There's none of those corny bits where his mammy says, "Oh, you'll be like a Rolling Stone someday, Bobby," and he writes that. None of that corny stuff. What it's really about is the impact he had on other people and on music. Yeah. Why it was important. So. Like you're transported into the early 60s, dirty old Greenwich Village and the folk music and everyone's smoking all the time. And you suddenly go, why this little guy writing protest songs suddenly hit everyone right there? They have the backdrop of the Cuban Missile Crisis, all this sort of stuff. Timothée Chalamet, again, I was thinking, Wonka and Dune guy is going to be Bob Dylan. Again, 3 minutes in, you're going, oh, he's Bob Dylan. He's just Bob Dylan. Joan Baez is in it. And... just the relationships. Edward Norton actually is Pete Seeger, and again, I know most of the Pete Seeger stuff from the Bruce Springsteen album that he did, and the Woody Guthrie and all those people that some of my heroes like Billy Bragg would have played, but I didn't really know their stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. The music, they all play their own music live. Like it's Timothée Chalamet singing Bob Dylan. It's Edward Norton playing Pete Seeger, etc. like that. All the music is done live when they're playing it, and unusually for this sort of thing, they play the whole song. So usually you have somebody strumming half of Rocket Man or whatever, and then they cut away. In this, when he goes, I'm going to sing a song now, he plays the whole song. I think it's comparable to Walk the Line, because Johnny Cash is in it too.
Okay.
It's up there on that level of biopic, but I think that was more about who Johnny Cash was, whereas this is more about the impact Bob Dylan had. I think you love it, and I think so many of you listening to all the... When I came up from Bundoran today, I've been listening to the show all the time. It's such a mix of music, and I was going, I'm one of those people, I like all of that music. When I was 15, I would have said I only like heavy metal. That was it. Now I'm going, isn't it brilliant? I appreciate this, although Sheba did shock me. Now, I must admit, it's a long time since I've heard Sheba. But I was going, Rory's listeners would be perfect for this, because even if they're not big Bob Dylan fans, although I'd say a lot of your listeners are, they will go, now I get why his impact was so on. And there's nobody that's listening to this show regularly who loves the music that doesn't love someone who loved Bob Dylan. Even if you don't crazy about Bob Dylan, one of your musical heroes will say, well, actually, when I heard Bob Dylan and when he went electric or his acoustic stuff, I thought this is brilliant. I don't know how it's going to do at the Oscars because of its release time, but I think if there was any doubt that Timothée Chalamet is just a pretty face, no, he is a super actor. This is, as I said, he's been in Wonka, he's been in Dune 2, and in the Bob Dylan movie in the space of a year. Incredibly different. I thought it was brilliant, and I think you'll love it, and I think your listeners will love it.
Okay, and that released yesterday.
Yesterday.
So that's
it's right out now, and it's going to be around for a while. And I think really well worth your while.
Okay. So that one, the Bob Dylan, A Complete Unknown.
Yeah.
And that's in theatres now. All right, the next one we are going to talk about Baby Girl.
Yeah, we'll fly through those. I'm sure I've talked too much about Bob Dylan already. But so Baby Girl, I want to say, is interesting, right? So this one came out, and I thought, oh, well, it's kind of an artsy, sexy movie with Nicole Kidman and this Harris Dixon as a younger person who gets involved in an affair. And I went, oh, it'll come and go and it'll be grand, you know, and that sort of thing. But something happened then. They do a dance in it to Father Figure by George Michael, right? And that bit's gone viral on TikTok. And everyone's doing the dance, right?
Well, up until tomorrow.
Up until tomorrow. Well, that's in the States. It's about to tank in the States. But and Pedro Pascal and all these actors doing the dance, right? And suddenly you see it in the cinema. It's amazing how this happened. There was it was doing okay, and suddenly it's become a thing. And suddenly all these people are coming to see the movie. And it's a really good, interesting movie. Do you know the way... last week when there was snow everywhere, and I know you'd snow up here in Bundoran, there was no snow at all, right? There was no snow at all, and I think it's just because of Baby Girl, because this movie is hot, right? And I think
it's described as an American erotic thriller.
Yeah, I don't know about the American part. Nicole Kidman's Australian after all, but the other parts are definitely true.
Okay.
Really interesting, really different. If you've ever seen the movie Secretary, it's more that than 50 Shades of Grey. It's not like it is actually a proper movie with erotic bits, but well worth watching.
It's more tasteful.
Yeah. Don't bring your granny, or bring your granny. But you go and see Better Man. Let your granny go and enjoy yourself and better.
All right, so that is Baby Girl.
Yeah.
So that is in theaters
right now,
as well. Okay, and not one you bring your granny to.
No.
Fair enough. Okay, duly noted. And Flight Risk. Let's talk
Flight Risk. Well, we mentioned this for next week. So I think that this looks really good fun. It stars I've got to stop calling him Marky Mark. It's been a long time since the Funky Bunch, but Mark Wahlberg, and he's a pilot, and the trailer tells you that he's actually an assassin, and he's bringing these people away, and it looks really exciting and really fun. And one of the things I think that's great crack about it is it's directed by Mel Gibson, and the film companies can't wait to tell us it's by the director of Braveheart, it's by the director of Apocalypto, it's by the director of Passion of the Christ.
But we're not going to say his name.
They don't mention his name. They don't mention his name. However, Donald Trump has mentioned his name, and him, John Voight, and Sylvester Stallone have been appointed as special ambassadors to Hollywood. I don't.
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
No, Arnie's not a Trump fan. Arnie's not a Trump fan. So that's very interesting. If me as a big 80s action fan, where I loved all of those people watching the stuff on video, I would have been surprised. But it looks like really good fun. And we've been talking about quite either music or quite serious biopics and stuff like that are lined up. And that's kind of what January tends to be. But if you want dumb action fun, I think Flight Risk looks like good crack, and that opens next Friday.
Okay, that's Flight Risk. It stars Mark Wahlberg and directed by the man who brought us The Passion of the Christ. Yes. And
I want you to keep on doing that, I'm going to be very proud of you. And then, of course, next time, I suppose we're nearly done, but next time when we're up, it's February. They're trying to do a kind of a Barbenheimer again. And I think it's just kind of underpants related, Rory, because two people who are famous for big underpants, superheroes who wear it on the outside, and Bridget Jones. So on Valentine's Day, Captain America and Bridget Jones, mad about the boy,
we were
both open.
So close to getting through that without offending anybody, but
she wears it proudly.
She does. That's
Embrace
true.
your
we
big
have
underpants.
To give her that.
Rory, I'm wearing quite a large pair myself at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to turn off your camera,
okay,
actually. Okay. Collie, thanks so much for coming up to join us. We'll talk to you next month. And that's where I have to wrap things up as well for this Saturday morning. Thanks to everyone who got in touch with the show with the requests, the dedications, and the suggestions for music as well. Big thanks to Roisin for her help on the programme too. Paul McDevitt's up next with his Saturday Shuffle. Katie Gillen's on her way with a news update for you. I will talk to you next Saturday morning from 10 a.m. We'll be rewinding all over again. Music and memories all the way. Hope to have your company then. But for now, from me, Rory Farrell, take care, bye-bye, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.
All the hits. One station.
As a parent, I have to say I am extremely